I was selling my mother's flat because she moved into a care home. And I contacted Martin Gerard because I'd had a couple of recommendations from friends who'd used them. They had sold a flat in the same mews just a few months before, and I'd had reports that were not very favourable about some of the other nearby high street estate agents. So I wanted someone that was local, someone that was established, and somebody that I felt I could trust, because I live in Edinburgh 400 miles away, and although I come down to London every month, I wasn't going to be there on the spot checking up on everything that happens. Communication was very important to me because I live far away, and also because I wasn't very confident about what I was doing, because I've never had to sell a property by myself before. Martin Gerard were very helpful from the word go. Craig came round to the flat and met me there and talked over what sort of thing I wanted, what kind of price I was hoping for, and what would be reasonable, and exactly what they would do to help me. They answered my questions honestly, and so in that way they earned my trust. They didn't claim things that they knew they wouldn't be able to deliver on, and they turned up punctually for every appointment. When I was at home, I got regular phone calls updating me about what was going on. And they gave me very good advice about things that should stay in the flat, things that I needed to clear out to make it look good for the sale. And one of the amazing things was I was walking down the high street with a couple of dustbin bags of things to take to the charity shop. And Craig saw me and said, "You don't need to do that." And after that, he came to the flat and took the stuff to the charity shop for me in his car, which was just going over and above what anyone had a right to expect from someone who was helping you sell an apartment. They took pictures, they took a video, and it looked amazing on those. Their advice was very strong on leaving furniture in place, leaving a few ornaments and things so that it looked homely, but at the same time clear and spacious. I think Martin Gerard were very good about personal service. Initially I was dealing only with Craig, and then I was dealing with Fatima as well. And they both took a lot of trouble to call me, let me know what was happening. If I phoned them, I could always speak to somebody I knew rather than a person or a horrible AI thing. And that made a big difference. When we had a problem, they were amazing. So the flat, we got an offer on the flat fairly quickly. And then they came back to have another look, and there'd been a leak from the flat upstairs. And I was 400 miles away, so it was a difficult thing to deal with. But they were very supportive, and I came down and saw the people above, and we arranged for somebody to come and look at it. But the only time the landlord could get a plumber to come was at 9 o'clock on Easter Sunday morning. And Craig went round to the apartment to let the plumber in and be there so that I didn't have to come down and didn't have to worry about it. And I just think that was the most amazing service and kindness, and obviously made such a difference. And it meant that we could go and have our Easter holiday instead of having to come back down to London again when I'd only been down 2 weeks before. I think Martin Gerard gave really good value for money. I would expect any agent to try and get the best selling price for you, and to be a little bit cynical, then they get the best commission as well. But I think that you wouldn't expect an agent to do things like Craig did about taking stuff to the charity shop and coming round on Easter Sunday. And Fatima was really helpful and sorted out all the flat clearance for me. And it was just so nice to feel there were people there, and that whatever came up, I could ask them about. I also hadn't got a clue about London solicitors, and the law is slightly different in Scotland, and so they sorted out the solicitors for me, which just made it all go much more smoothly. I think Martin Gerard definitely went above and beyond for me, and it meant an awful lot, because It's a hard thing to sell your mother's flat. It's a hard thing to have your mother have to move into a care home. It was quite an emotional thing for all of us. And to know that there were people who I could trust, but also people who would listen if I wasn't happy about things, and understood when I said to them my main priority was to make sure that I had enough money to cover care home costs if my mother should go on living for another 8 or 10 years. And they really listened to what I wanted and what I needed, and made me feel that that was a priority for them, and that my happiness, not just the sale of the flat, was important. I really found in Craig and in Fatma that they were totally about the customer, about service, about making me feel happy and being able to trust in what they were doing. And to be honest, that made all the difference. It was very important for me to find an agent who would really care and relate to my circumstances, because it was a difficult sale to do anyway, and having to do it all from 400 miles away made it that much harder. And I think if I'd have gone with anyone else, they might have sold the flat for me, but it would have probably entailed me having to come up and down far more often than I did, and also just would have left me very, very empty. Whereas this was such a connected, personal experience that it made it actually as good as it could be. And I really feel that Craig and Fatma cared about me, cared about my mum, even though they hadn't met her, and really did the best for us. Personally, it was a huge weight off my shoulders, because it's a massive responsibility to take on power of attorney for someone and have to deal with all their affairs. And you have the whole business side to go through, but you also have the emotional side, and you need to know that you're really doing your best for that person. And if you have people like Martin Gerard, like Craig and like Fatma, who listen to you, care about you, and help you to find the best way, then you can get through it and you come out smiling. I wanted to come and do this because Craig and Fatma and Martin Gerard did so much for me and were so helpful and kind, and really went over and above the requirements for people selling a property, that I wanted to be able to thank them and pay them back in a way that would be meaningful, and also to encourage other people to use the company, because I've been really impressed with them. Yes, I would definitely recommend Martin Gerard to friends and family. The members of staff that I've dealt with have been so thorough and so caring, and also so businesslike at the same time. And the other thing that's great about it is that there are lots of local branches, so it makes it very easy and very accessible. And I think in this day and age where it's harder and harder to get personal contact when you're dealing with anything to do with finance or any sort of questions, to have that personal touch is so important.